It sounds absurd. Two nations clashing over fish. But for nearly 2 decades, the United Kingdom and tiny Iceland waged a bitter conflict known as the Cod Wars, a struggle that reshaped international law and redrew the boundaries of the sea. This wasn't a war of bombs and bullets. It was a war of trawlers, coast guards, and warships, fought over the most ordinary of creatures, cod. In the mid-20th century, fish wasn't just food, it was power. For Britain, cod was a staple. It fed millions, sustained the working class, and kept the traditional fish and chips industry alive. For Iceland, fishing was survival. The island nation had few resources. Cod wasn't just their main export, it was their lifeline. But the problem was geography. The richest cod grounds lay just off Iceland's coast, and British trawlers had fished those waters for centuries. To Iceland, this was theft. To Britain, it was tradition. Soon, patience snapped. In 1958, Iceland took a bold step. They unilaterally extended their fishing limit from 4 miles to 12 miles, effectively banning British trawlers from waters they had relied on for generations. Britain refused to recognize the claim, and so began the First Cod War. It wasn't fought in trenches or skies, but in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. Icelandic Coast Guard ships confronted British fishing boats, demanding they leave. When the trawlers refused, Iceland escalated, threatening arrests. Britain responded with power. The Royal Navy was dispatched, escorting the fishing fleets, massive destroyers looming over Iceland's tiny Coast Guard vessels. For a small nation of fewer than 200,000 people, it seemed impossible to stand against a global power. But Iceland had one powerful weapon: geography. Their boats knew the treacherous waters intimately, and even more, they had political leverage. The strategic NATO base at Keflavik, critical during the Cold War. Iceland warned if Britain didn't back down, they might close the base, weakening NATO's hold in the North Atlantic. By 1961, Britain relented. They signed an agreement recognizing Iceland's 12-mile limit, but this was just the beginning. In 1972, Iceland pushed again, extending its fishing zone to 50 miles. This time, they introduced a new weapon, the trawl wire cutter. Small Coast Guard boats would rush up to British trawlers, slice their fishing nets, and leave them helpless in the water. It was ingenious, cheap, and devastating. Once again, Britain sent warships. The confrontations turned violent. Ships rammed each other in icy waters. Steel scraped steel. Tension was so high that the world feared 2 NATO allies might actually go to war. And then, in 1975, Iceland escalated even further, claiming a 200-mile exclusive fishing zone. To Britain, this was outrageous. But to Iceland, it was survival. The third and final Cod War began. The ramming battles grew fiercer. Over 50 incidents of collision were recorded between Icelandic patrol boats and British frigates. Water cannons, warning shots, and tense radio standoffs defined the conflict. But Iceland had a trump card. Once again, they threatened to leave NATO and shut down the US base. The United States intervened, pressuring Britain to compromise, and in 1976, Britain finally withdrew its trawlers. Iceland's 200-mile claim was recognized. It was a staggering victory. A nation of just a few 100,000 had faced down one of the world's most powerful navies, and won. The legacy of the Cod Wars was enormous. Iceland protected its fishing industry, securing its economic future. Britain's fishing communities, however, were devastated. Generations of trawlermen lost their livelihoods. But more than that, Iceland's victory reshaped the world. Their bold claim inspired the global adoption of the 200-mile exclusive economic zone, which is now international law. Today, almost every coastal nation controls 200 miles of ocean around them. Because Iceland dared to stand up for fish, it may have looked ridiculous at the time, war over cod. But the Cod Wars proved that even the smallest nations can bend giants to their will, that the value of the sea is worth fighting for, and that sometimes history's strangest battles change the world forever. If you enjoyed this untold story of naval standoffs, political brinkmanship, and the fight for fish, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Untold History in 5. We uncover shocking, bizarre, and fascinating stories from the past, all in just 5 minutes. Hit the bell so you never miss an episode, and tell us in the comments, if you were Britain or Iceland, whose side would you have taken? Thanks for watching. Bye.